The United States Senate has a rule that allows for the minority party to block a bill from coming to a vote as long as at least 41 members of the Senate support blocking it. This is called a filibuster. The filibuster is not guaranteed by the Constitution or any other law or statute. It is simply a rule of the Senate, though it has existed in some form for a very long time. Let's take a look at a few of the pros and cons of the Senate filibuster. One of the biggest benefits of the Senate filibuster is that it encourages bipartisanship, as it is relatively rare for one party to control 60 or more seats. That means that most measures have to get at least some support from both parties in order to avoid a filibuster and pass through the Senate and become law. And this helps facilitate compromise and working together in order to come up with policies that both parties agree with or at the very least tolerate. The filibuster also helps protect the minority party. Oftentimes, the minority party still represents a huge portion of Americans in today's society. We are fairly evenly split between Democrats and Republicans, and there are usually an enormous amount of Americans who voted for politicians from the minority party. By having this filibuster, it helps give them a much larger voice in the Senate process. And it ensures that a narrow majority in the Senate cannot make huge and drastic changes to the law. The filibuster also creates more continuity of government. When congressional control changes frequently, being able to pass things entirely with a simple majority would lead to a lot of policy reversals, where a policy is passed by one Congress and then immediately reversed, and then reversed again in a few more years. By having a filibuster, it makes it harder to undo these changes as well as to put them in place in the first place, making our government's policies much more consistent over time. One of the biggest cons of the filibuster is that it greatly slows things down and diminishes the ability of our government to get things done. It is often very hard to get bipartisan support, and it greatly limits what you can do. And sometimes even a small amount of bipartisan support is still not enough to reach the 60 vote threshold. Right now, you would have to get at least 8 members of the minority party to support a piece of legislation in order to ensure that it could not be filibustered. Ultimately, the filibuster makes the already slow wheels of government move even slower. The filibuster violates the concept of majority rule by requiring a supermajority to pass legislation. Our governmental system was set up in a way that the majority of the Congress is supposed to be backed by the majority of the people and able to pass laws that it believes are the best laws for the country. With the filibuster, however, it allows for the minority to block some of these principles, even if they would otherwise have the votes and have the support they need to become law. One important note to make here is that there is an exception to the filibuster that allows for things to be passed around simple majority. That is called reconciliation. This process was used to pass Obamacare, and it was the vehicle that was being used in the attempt to remove Obamacare, and it's very likely that this is the process they will use for tax reform as well. There are a lot of restrictions on this, the biggest one being that you can only use it once per fiscal year. Most senators do not want to remove the filibuster, and they believe the way the filibuster system works right now, especially with reconciliation also being an option, is still a good way for the Senate to be run. I generally agree. However, President Trump has frequently criticized the filibuster and asked for it to be removed. But let us know what you think about the filibuster and whether it should be eliminated or changed. And like and subscribe to learn more.